sure.
Hey, I have a question for you on this, right?
Mhm.
As you're looking at it, what part would you say the halving plays in the dynamics of Bitcoin's value going up?
Okay, that's a great question. So,
I
and then I'm
I
sure
have a
you
part
want to
two.
get back
I
to
have
the
a part two to interrupt you, right?
yeah. Yep. So do you want me to start with this and then we'll get into the part two?
Yeah, yeah. I just
So when we look at Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, not only is it tied into the halving, but it's also tied into the presidential election cycle here in the US. And so what that does is it sets up for different economic conditions where Bitcoin has chances to actually run higher based on changes in policy. But the one thing that's static here is the 4-year cycle. And so anytime that this price chart you see goes like blue to dark blue, big actors start to come in to absorb supply on the off the bottom to try to front run the halvening event, right? Because in the halvening event occurs, all the mining revenue gets cut in half, and what happens is the price of Bitcoin runs up higher in anticipation of that because of a shortage of supply. And so you can see in all of these cases, Bitcoin makes, basically has bottomed somewhere here in the middle, about 400 days out from the next halvening, and that probably leads into part two.
so we both agree that the halving has a big part to do with this, right? And so the guy who designed this stock to flow, or one of the guys that came out first, was Plan B, right?
Correct.
And so Plan B, I caught an interview with him a couple of years ago, and he was asked this fateful question: if you could go back in time and talk to Satoshi, how might what would you tell him about how he might have improved on Bitcoin? And he said, do a halving every day,
No kidding.
or something along those lines, right? Guess what does a halving 3, 4, 5 times a day? Would it surprise you that Hex does that?
Back on the
And
session here to prove
and
it.
and all of its derivatives, right? And so while it's not quite a halving is a term for the increase in in difficulty to earn yield. But yeah, every single day, like today, we've already had 3 changes.
Mhm.
And so it's not surprising to me that the designers of this system had that in mind with the idea to outperform Bitcoin. And it just tickles me pink that somebody who, at least at the time, was very well respected, right?
Mhm.
Plan B. I think he still should be well respected, but that was his answer. Have more happenings. That would have been the single most thing, because his complaint at the time, I think, had to do with how long it would take to process each 4-year cycle, and that by having quicker happenings, you would move faster. But yeah, we do that sometimes 6, 7 times a day.